Hello, gang. This is a presentation about flying balloons.
As opposed to those sinking balloons.
Yes. Well, I would have said hot air balloons specifically, but hot air balloons are not, in fact, the only kinds of flying balloons. You also get like helium and historically also hydrogen balloons. At the risk of offending people, I'm not going to go into too much detail about which ones are which, but some of them have hot air and some of them have gases and some of them have both. And they were, in fact, like the first flying machines, the first flying things that could.
These are not really machines, are they? They're sort of
with them. They're
objects.
Not really machines, no.
How would you describe them? Vehicles? Vehicles? Would you describe
them
as a vehicle?
The first flying vehicle.
First ones that worked anyway.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, apart from Icarus, of course.
Yeah.
Prehistory of flying balloons. Paper lanterns in China have existed for a long time.
Yeah.
There were even attempts at other hot air vehicles prior to the ones that we know and love.
I wouldn't say I love hot air balloons.
I'd love to go in a hot air balloon.
Heights. You scared of heights?
No, what's always upset me about hot air balloons is the fact you can't control them. Mm-hmm. They go where the wind blows. And I like having control. I like knowing where I'm going to go and having
land.
That sort of... Yeah.
The immediate precursor to the balloons that we know and may or may not love today was invented in 1783 by Montgolfier brothers, who were paper manufacturers in France.
Wow.
And they, in September 1783, they made their own little balloon, didn't have any basket attached, just had some, like, smoke in it to heat the air, and it flew for, like, 10 minutes and then crashed somewhere. By October, they were sending animals up. They sent up a rooster, a sheep, and a duck. Here they are.
Seems a bit silly to put a bird in there, considering like birds can fly.
But this is exactly the reason why they were thinking, well, we'll see how, because they literally had no idea what it was like in the sky.
They wanted to use something that would have a chance.
If it was toxic. Well, so they wanted to try some different things. Like, for all they knew, the sky was deadly to anything except birds. Wow, so they wanted to send birds up, and then also a sheep, just to, like, test the waters. Like, a sheep is more like a human. We'll see what happens. And they all landed about 15 minutes later, unharmed, but confused.
But strictly speaking, they're not actually wrong that it is dangerous to go in the sky, because the higher you go, the less air there is.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah. Shortly after that, they sent up a couple of humans, but tethered to the ground. And then there was a lot of discussion about... So pretty quickly, King Louis XVI found out about this and was pretty excited. But it would have been a PR disaster to send up, aristocrats and then have the aristocrats die. Yeah. Because of a horrible crash or something, or because the air is toxic. So he wanted to send up prisoners who were on death row anyway. But this fella, Pilatre de Rosier, I don't know if that's how he would have pronounced his name, but that's how I've pronounced it.
Rosier.
He thought that it would have been an absolute insult to send up prisoners when, a fine aristocrat, like to give them the title of first human aeronaut. So he went up with a friend in a balloon that looked something like this.
Wow.
Because it had to look pretty for the king.
That's
like 2-3 months after initial experiments.
Oh, so that's pretty fast then.
Yeah.
They went at a bit of a pace, didn't they?
Yeah, really.
And you're saying these people were paper makers?
Yes. Yeah, paper manufacturers. And this is made out of fabric, really. But apparently one of these paper dudes was sitting near a fire, and he could see like clothes billowing in the fire, and he thought, hold up, something's going on here.
Hold the front door.
Yeah.
Hold the front door.
Yeah, that's where it came from. These guys landed safely, and people were, shocked and thought they were the devil. There was like a crowd of like 200,000 people or something to see this.
200,000?
It set off from the like court and, proper spectacle.
I mean, you would want to see it, right? Like,
wait, you mean they set off from a city?
Yeah.
But okay.
You're seeing people going
they
to the
clearly
sky
didn't care about
the
health and
first time.
safety, did they?
So it was a huge spectacle. They landed and people thought they were the devil. Like, they started handing out champagne to confused farmers. But successfully and safely. And then 2 years later, that same guy died in a ballooning accident, because ballooning accidents were extremely common very quickly.
I can imagine.
Very soon afterwards, once the ballooning craze had begun, lots of people started dying. But it's a big like adventure thing.
Yeah,
you become a real like public personality, proper daredevil type. If you are conquering the skies where that are just like completely unknown until then.
The evil Knievel of his own time.
Really, yeah, absolutely. Only
The
with
Rosier
more of the
de
public
Rosier.
attention, but with like more attention. It like very quickly became a pop culture phenomenon. They started like making plates with like ornamental plates with balloons on. This is 1784. They sent an opera singer up, and she was singing opera from the skies to the people.
That's fun.
I wonder how long it took for people to have sex.
I wouldn't give it more than a month.
I'm going to Google it because I want to find out.
These two charming fellows are find the names. Henry Coxwell and James Glacier. They went up in 1862, so quite a long time afterwards. And this would have been
they were the first two people to have gay sex in the sky.
No. They went up in a gas balloon to... James Glacier was a meteorologist. I think he might have even founded the Meteorological Society, because this opened up like huge new scientific possibilities as well. Obviously, like it's a whole new view on the world. They literally had no idea what was up there. So
there could have been like a ceiling for all they knew.
Yeah.
Like
their last barometer reading put them at 29,000 feet. They basically went up way too fucking high.
That's too high.
Yeah. They went up, so that is approximately the height of Mount Everest. They probably went up like 35 to 37,000 feet high. James Glacier passed out. It was like minus 20 degrees Celsius, minus 4 degrees Fahrenheit. James Glacier passed out. Henry Coxwell, absolutely freezing, couldn't feel his hands, had to climb, because the rigging was broken, had to climb up and fix the rigging with his teeth. And then they descended.
Oh, wow.
Safely, with health issues for a while afterwards, but like survived.
Oh my God.
Absolutely awful situation. So you would think maybe they'll stop doing this.
No.
But it made them celebrities. It made them absolute celebrities. So Henry Coxwell, like 2 years later, he's got another balloon, and he's got a crowd of 50,000 people in Leicester, in England.
Oh no.
But wait, I'll leave it. 50,000 people, and he's got like 13 people who've paid to come on board the flight with him. to go up. But somebody in the crowd starts the rumour that this is not his biggest balloon. And the crowd gets angry.
They want to get on
It's
the
like
balloon.
5:30 p.m. So I am willing to bet a significant number of them quite drunk already. Like, it's a public event. I think there's a quote from Dickens that says that like, he doesn't like these things because it has the air of like a public execution. It's people enjoying the potential for misery. It's like going to like a race, like a motorsport, just to see people crash.
Right. Like, people are coming along to like see if someone
especially
dies.
because this guy has had a near-death experience already.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the crowd starts losing its shit, and then some of the people who have paid to come on board are also getting really angry, and they're like forcing their way on board instead of like trying to be careful with the thing that's about to take them into the sky.
Yeah, it's only like 13 people that were going on anyway, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
That's probably quite a big balloon.
Like, there's 13 people who've paid, but everyone else, I guess, somehow feels like they've been cheated out of their money as well. I don't know. And so they start like clamoring like at the balloon because they're really mad at this guy, and it's like, well, this is not going to lead to a safe takeoff. What on earth are you doing? So Henry Coxwell threatens to let out all of the gas from the balloon, so nothing's going to happen. Because somebody who's paid to get on the balloon tells the crowd that he's planning on not going up, which, he later claims was absolutely untrue. He never said a thing of the sort. But once everybody started getting really violent, then he was like, okay, if you can't be grown-ups about this, I'm just going to let the gas out.
Yeah.
And so he does that. And then people just lose it. And they start attacking him. They start like attacking the balloon. He escapes and manages to like take refuge in somebody's house. But the crowd riots and destroys the balloon, and people the middle of the riot, people start selling pieces of the balloon as souvenirs to other people who are also at the riot.
fucking Victorians! What the fuck?
Yeah, this earned Leicester a very bad name, and people in Leicester were blaming outsiders from Leicester for like everything.
Outside instigators come to make us look bad.
Oh my god!
This is a picture of the Leicester balloon riot.
Wow.
I listened to a podcast about this as well, and they said it sounded like a skit from I Think You Should Leave, which I think is kind of spot on. It's just like, that's not even his biggest balloon. And then James Glacier, who was also in that like very near miss, way too high balloon, said like that really put him off ever going up again, and he just abandoned his future experiments because it's way too dangerous. It's just too dangerous to get mobbed.
You're either going to die of altitude sickness or you're going to get torn to shreds by a load of Leicestershirians.
Exactly. To wrap up, some other notable dates. In 1870 was the first time that balloons were used for military purposes. They were used for observation in the Franco-Prussian War. They also were at some point used to like help French politicians escape from Paris. In 1960 is when we have the invention of the modern hot air balloon. So that's with the onboard heat source. Voila. Onboard heat source and whatever gosh darn shape you want it to be.
So
these are made by like...
What was the heat, like, what was being used before? Because I guess I just assumed that it was always an onboard heat source. What was
Helium and
providing
hydrogen.
warm air before?
helium and hydrogen and hot air, like, produced on the ground.
Right. So they just sort of...
So you kind of heat it up before you send it up.
Yeah. So I guess once they developed sort of onboard hot air, then they could go for much longer rides because they could kind of just keep it fueled.
And it's much more, like, fine control. Although I guess with the gas, you have a gas tap, you turn it on and off, it's similar.
Right. So it's not just like we fill it with low density air of whatever type and then see how long we can go for and then come down. It's actually like I can decide how long I want to be up for and how high, much more variably with
Although I suppose in both cases you have a tank.
You know what? I'm staring at this hot air balloon and I'm thinking I'm feeling a lot of anxiety really from the idea of like the thing that's keeping you thousands of feet in the air is a fucking
There's
bit
way
of
sillier ones
tarpaulin
than
and some tarpaulin and some rope.
Oh yeah, lots of
with
people
a bloody
died.
basket. It's oh my god! You put your life in the hands of someone's not skills.
These like really exciting custom ones as well. They tend to be made by like one seamstress, like one person with a sewing machine. And like there's teamwork at certain points, but all of the stitching on one balloon will typically be done by one person.
Wow.
She must be very busy.
Cool.
You haven't put me off. I want one. I want a little house, a little hot air balloon that floats around. I know that.
Isn't that just a bouncy castle?
Yeah, in the sky.
Can you imagine a bouncy castle filled with helium?
You pop it on purpose.
No.
And that makes it goes fast. Like in the cartoons, you pop the back of a boat and you go...
Gas balloons have gone higher than hot air balloons have. The highest a hot air balloon has ever gone was just under 70,000 feet, which is way too high. That's, way too high. That's more than twice the height of Everest.
I mean, when you say too high, obviously...
It's just too high to be...
Too
I don't
high
want to be that high.
But like...
What's this in meters?
I'm not... I did have it, but I guess it's about a third of that.
But obviously, like
they
can do things to try and deal with the altitude and the cold and stuff.
Yeah, didn't Felix Baumgartner, the guy who jumped out of the height, like that was a balloon, wasn't it?
And
he basically sat in a capsule whilst it was going up.
right.
So he had all the air and stuff and heat and stuff inside the capsule, and then he jumped out.
Yeah, and then you just did like a skydive, right? Like biggest, highest skydive. Scary.
I mean, it's fucking shit yourself scary. Isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the highest a gas balloon has gone in 1961 was 114,000 feet. So that's another Everest again.
Whoa.
Too much.
Too much.
Maybe I do have a fear of heights.
But yeah. Balloons now are something you might go see as like an amazing spectacle, but it has much less of the air of a blood sport than it used to.
Yeah.
From what I gather.
Good.
Yeah, that is good. Actress and model Letitia Ann Sage joined Vincenzo Lunardi on his hot air balloon for a flight in June of 1785.
Okay, so 2 years. It was September that they started the first experiment, so less than 2 years.
There were some issues with hot air balloons, like weight issues, and they had too much weight in the basket, so
they had to start throwing clothes over.
They just had to start throwing their clothes off.
Yeah.